Hello and welcome to the May 2026 energy update. I'm going to do today's energy update a little bit differently. I'm actually going to just drop into the field and channel for a bit first, and then we will end with pulling some cards because that is just what is being asked of me now. I actually feel like I can get some more precise information in the field itself. And right now, I think a lot of us are being called to transmit differently and transmit with more specificity because people are locking into very different and very specific timelines. And that's going to relate to something I'll start with in a second about just some themes coming up, because I think it's important to touch on what's been happening in April and how that's going to carry us into May. So I have the guides already here. Is there anybody else that wants to come in? There's actually a lot more beings from Venus coming in today, in addition to like my main guides that I usually work with, which are mostly the different ascended masters and then different beings from specific planets that I work with specifically. Which will be interesting. I think that's connected to the overall energy of May. And can you just click me into May 2026? So in terms of numerology, we are in a 6, and 6s are about home life and love and relationships. The 2 and the 6 are great love and relationship months, but really what's going on in terms of your home. So this could be your living situation, how you're feeling in your environment. Also, I think about home in terms of our internal home, like our bodies and what's going on with our bodies. And that is a big theme right now. And that it has a very Cancerian energy, right? Like at home and how you are with your emotions and the environments that make you feel safe and supported. And this idea of sanctuary is popping really strongly for this month. So I'm interested to track this, but where they want me to start, they're asking me to start with just some themes that are popping for me personally, which typically mirrors the collective recently. And, in April, I had so many people texting me, so many friends and clients saying, I feel so out of sorts. I don't feel like myself. I feel disconnected from myself. I feel like I'm overthinking a lot. I'm really in my head. And a lot of people wanted to kind of say it was because of this or that. And I just want to reflect that back, that when so many people are telling me the same thing, it's usually just a collective energy we are running through. And I know that we had, we have these 7 planets in Aries right now as I record this. And I'm not an astrologer, but that will be a very heady kind of energy and get you really in your head. And what they're saying is, if I connect that with one of the big themes that's been coming up in this last week of April, for me, it's about body, and body represents home. And what will be really important is for us to connect how the hologram works. And how the hologram works is as within, so without, right? So what's going on with my relationship with my body and internally with my body is going to be reflected in my hologram. It's going to be reflected in my actual home and my environment. Those two mirror each other. And it also is going to be reflected in my external reality at large. The dynamics, the relationships, how I'm moving through the world, these all mirror each other. It's one of the reasons why a practice like feng shui is just so powerful. And I want to connect that because Heather Askinosi came on the podcast recently, and I have been obsessed with these frequency generators. So I just want to give them a shout out. This is like not a paid promotion or sponsorship. I bought 10 and I have them everywhere. But I know for me, I have been made extra aware. Like sometimes I try to pretend like I'm not as sensitive as I am, which is a joke because I'm like the most sensitive person of all time. But I just had this real realization with myself of I really need to be serious about all the practices that are going to help me feel better, and just all of the EMFs that are in the environment and how much that affects me. And I've been having a really hard time with my sleep. Like I'm sleeping well, but I would wake up every morning and just not feel rested at all. And just realizing so much of that was the EMFs and even just psychically things with my body needing to be rearranged. And because I wasn't fully addressing that and honoring all the sensitivities I had, I wasn't ever feeling rested. And so what I want to say about this theme of the body is, it might already be coming up for you, or it's going to be a theme, but because of just the energy of May in general, we're going to really be asked to explore our bodies in a new way and explore the things that actually work for us. I was having this conversation recently with a new friend of mine, and we were just talking about how our bodies just work so differently. And it's been this battle with myself where I think it's really important that we get support and we support the physical vessel, but it can be hard when people don't really understand how these types of bodies work. And that moment of kind of like, hey, like I might just have to be the one that advocates for this and is kind of one of the people pioneering in this realm of saying, hey, like this type of body actually works differently, and how all of the regular things that work in like a health and wellness space don't really work on my body at all. And all that actually affects me is like frequency. And so coming back to like, obviously energy healing is my jam for a reason. It's like the one thing that affects me the most, but everything on the plane of frequency, like the frequency generators and crystals, and even in the more physical realm, things like smells, essential oils, flower essences, they work a lot better because they're more on the frequency path. Sound bowls, sound healing is one of the most potent things. And I have this conversation with a lot of clients. I think it's really important to understand. And it's a reason why a lot of people are still stuck with certain symptoms, because it has to be met at the frequency that matches what's going on. And a lot of times it's at a higher vibration, and it needs to be something more energetic that will actually move the needle. And the more our DNA is recalibrating, people are going to find, if you are somebody who is finding this conversation, I promise you're one of these people, you're going to find that you might need more energetic tools in your toolbox. And, you know, some of these things that work for the mainstream, and by mainstream, I mean like health and wellness, like alternative mainstream, will just stop working for you, you know, and even in terms of just getting in alignment with mission. So they're bringing this up because they really want you to understand this connection between body and home. And even I think feng shui will be a big theme, and simplification. And like they're bringing up, you know, the color of the walls in your home, and even the items. You know, even with things like that are non-toxic, I'm not 100% a non-toxic person, but recently I do my best with everything I have. It recently I was like, wow, I think all of these like little things I've got to start to switch, because it's making a bigger impact than maybe I realized. And you just kind of come to terms with that. So that's kind of where they want me to start. And I'm just gonna drop in properly for a second here. So can you just show me the field for May 2026? Okay, thank you. So it's a really strong yellow golden light. And what's interesting is they show me like this lock and key, like this box with this lock and key. And what is it about that? It's literally like finding the exact key that opens the lock. And that when you find that key, it's bringing you into highest alignment. So when you feel frustrated, like you're putting in a lot of effort, you're banging your head against the wall, it's just because it's not the right key yet. But that key is gonna like unlock the door. And when I go in there, I'm like in this magical, beautiful fairy forest, and I feel this. We come back to that word of sanctuary. Like I feel this feeling of I'm safe and I'm protected. And they're bringing up this need for us to really pay attention to energetically where we feel safe, where we feel protected, and where we feel too open or exposed, because they're saying that's affecting a lot of people's cortisol. It's affecting a lot of people's, you know, their sleep, like how you're physically feeling, because when you energetically just feel like all of your doors are open, that's where things start to get leaky. And that's also leading to a lot of, they're bringing up like, you know, what we might identify in the human as like ADHD behavior, or I can't focus. And so they're saying like, you already know about the social media and really managing your inputs. That's obviously important, but this is more about like the energetic environment and knowing where your energetic doors are open. and starting to shut those and actually really curate this space for yourself where you feel energetically safe and held. It reminds me of, like a caves environment, human design, where like you feel safest when your back is up against a wall so you can see what's coming in and coming out. But starting to learn these things that are they're saying like just beyond what most people talk about in terms of what's affecting your nervous system, your cortisol response, things like that, because it's actually about like energetic inputs and who and what is feeding into you and who and what has access. And they're saying like there's something really strong here about like the word choice comes up and the word freedom comes up. And I think we need to really take a step back and look at our relationship with choice. I come back to this all the time where, we want choice. Like we feel restricted when we don't get to choose, yet people also don't want choice. People want to be told what to do. Like when they have choices, they get overwhelmed. They're like, I don't want these choices. I'm too burnt out. I don't want to be a responsible adult. And then they want someone else to choose for them. And so we have to really come into right relationship with choice. And that is how we actually unlock freedom. There's this frequency of unlocking of freedom, like specific key codes. They're showing that again, back to the hologram, like how that opens up things with our DNA, how that opens up things with our bodies. And actually to get to know your body and coming back to like kind of knowing your clairsentience, how certain choices you make that bring you into a specific alignment actually turn different things on in your body, right? So for example, the specific key code that maybe fixes your digestion and you're busy thinking it's about specific food, right? Or your diet. And actually it's about a choice that you make vibrationally that aligns you somewhere that actually opens up your digestion and allows it to flow. Like for me, I know one of those things is that choice with my evening routine to actually have time to digest and process my day. And if I don't have time to digest and process that day, I will get constipated, right? Like I have to have time to digest. I have to have those bookends on my day to like actually allow myself to move all the way through. And so that's an example of that key code that can open something up for you within your body, right? And even coming back to something like subtle inflammation. Where is there subtle inflammation in your life, right? In terms of what's happening in your environment or people are connecting with you, where you feel inflammatory energy. Maybe it's friction in a part of your schedule, and how do you make a choice that aligns you somewhere else? And they're saying that a lot of people are kind of stuck with accessing that key code and that hologram just because it's gonna bump up against beliefs we have about what we should be doing based on conditioning, right? So it's a moment where this inner child part of us doesn't want to do it, just wants to be like everybody else, and or everybody told us we should do it this way, but we know we need to do it this way. And so it's going to feel harder because it feels harder to the ego. But then your soul and your body get in resonance with that choice and it opens up the energy for you to actually feel better. Okay, so that's a big theme this month is key codes. What are the other themes this month? They're saying finding your people. A lot of people, and this has been a theme, right? And it's continuing to be a theme that's really going to play out again over the next 3 to 4 months. They're saying by 6 months from now, I don't even know what, like, I don't know what day it is. 6 months from now, it'll be fortified of these new groups. And it's not about having more people in your life. It's about having the right people for you at this time in your life and really understanding that people are seasons. They get to be seasons. Some people, the season is a long time. Sometimes it's your whole life, but sometimes people come in and out of your life in terms of resonance. You have to trust that because that's directly connected to the things that you're manifesting, whether it's a relationship or whether it's something like financial or healing your body. All of the people that are in your life are these vibrational inputs. And sometimes that needs to get rearranged. But there's a real curation. Again, this theme, this curation of objects in your home, the paintings, the colors, the plants, that feng shui energy, curating your inputs like this, curating your inputs in terms of the content you're consuming. Do we even need to be consuming content? Could we just start our day without having to listen to music or without having to put on a podcast? I shouldn't, be saying that because I want you to listen to mine, but it's fine. Having more time with yourself, or just being really specific. And I know for me, the more specific I've gotten, the clearer I am with myself, and I'm not questioning myself so much, because often when we're questioning ourselves a lot, it's really just, we have too many inputs. So we have too many vibrational connections here. And so we have a lot of chatter up here that's not even ours. And if you remove all the extra chatter, then you're really clear, because you do have the answers. We just have to make space to receive them. So curating those inputs, curating inputs in terms of food and diet and simplification, but curating inputs in terms of the people that we're having conversations with, but they just keep bringing back that message, less is more. It's not about more, it's about what's correct, because what's correct will fill you up. That's the idea of nutrition, and nutrition is energetic. So this is true with food, which is, it's not that we necessarily need more calories, we need the right macronutrients and micronutrients to feel satiated. I know for me, sometimes, I could eat 5,000 calories of sugar and I'm not going to feel satiated, but I could eat 500 calories of really good nutrient dense foods and I'm going to feel satiated after that meal. And it's the same thing with your energetic inputs in terms of people. And a lot of people are, we tend to get in this addiction cycle where you don't want to be alone, or you feel starved for personal connection. So you just want more friends. You want to be more social, but you still feel not fully satiated. So you want more and more and more. And so they're basically saying, look, we have to break out of these addiction cycles. And addiction is a broad energy that can show up in a lot of different ways. And I think people have ideas of what that is, but addictions can be to, I have an addiction to staying up too late, to be honest, right? Or addictions can be to thoughts, right? Addictions can be to, I always reach for a podcast app whenever I'm bored. I always reach for the TV when I'm alone because I just want noise in the background, like those subtle things. How do we step into freedom? By breaking apart all those energies of these things that we need, so we can come into actual presence with ourselves. What else can you show me about May? Big picture first. So they're just showing me all of these different timeline streams, like rearranging, and different people popping in and popping out. And May feels like an actual landing in. So an actual landing into a timeline. So if you've been noticing, here we come back to choice. So if you've been noticing, you've been asked to, we have, right? Most people haven't landed somewhere because they haven't actually made the conscious choice. They think they have, but they haven't been specific enough in the way that we need to ground in and say, hey, this is what I want for my life. Like, this is what I'm committing to. So noticing where you're just like, I'm just going with the flow, and wherever I'm led, there's a balance between where we are led, but also we have to choose, like we have to consent, right? So when we consent to, this is the frequency I want to feel right now in my life, or this is what I want to create in my life. Can I actually own that, take ownership? When I make that choice, I lock into a frequency, and then they're just showing this giant stream of energy, all these people and opportunities, this huge funnel, this huge vortex comes in, and they want you to understand that choice is the vortex that like brings everything to you. So it's very much that idea of the more I go inward and notice my blocks and my fears and kind of like my addictions that are stopping me from making a choice and grounding into what I really want. When I clear those out, again, this is all inside job, suddenly everything starts to come to me. So learning what that is to actually be in the frequency of magnetism, what it is to be magnetic, what it is to pull things to you instead of always having to look outside of you. And so if you feel like you're more in this direction right now, you're more externally focused, I would really go inward and focus on that hologram and focus on what's getting reflected, attune your inputs, make your choice, ground in. And they're literally showing like grass and sand, and like the image of, putting your heels in the sand, like locking in, and see what happens to actually pull all of your energy into a choice, into a moment, into your body, instead of dispersing it into all of these different inputs and outputs, and how you become this very potent magnetic force and you start to draw things to you. They want you to really experience what that feels like this month. And so they're asking you to take more conscious time to reflect, like conscious time each day to recognize what got sent to you, what opportunities, what conversations, and to really see things as messages, as synchronicity, not as coincidence or, oh, it just happened. But what if I'm constantly being shown things for a reason, for me to reflect? And they're just bringing up like this nighttime routine thing is really important, like having 30 days in or 30 minutes, 30 minutes in the evening to journal, to reflect, to process the day, to write down what happened, because you're going to make certain connections that you wouldn't have otherwise if you just went to sleep or didn't think about it. And really having that time in your own energy. It keeps showing me lily pads, frogs, luck, is if a frog is a sign for somebody right now. But also it's like this, it reminds me of Frogger, you know, when you're like hopping, quantum leaping, you're hopping back and forth, and there's this energy of like momentum and like barely touching the ground, you know, just like hopping from one lily pad to the next. Like this is where things can actually speed up, and they're saying it's learning how to speed things up from a very different feeling and frequency than you ever have before, where speed isn't from even you moving faster, it's from you moving slower, but then your reality starts to just send things to you faster and you get to just receive. So what is it to be receptive? It's a very feminine energy, but that golden yellow, that bright light, it's like, how do I be so present with myself and fill myself up so much and feel the yumminess in my life that I learn what it is to live in my magnetism and in my beauty and in my radiance. And the last thing I'll say before I pull some cards here is they're saying a lot of people's beliefs are going to change. They're bringing up political beliefs, like on a collective level. A lot of people's beliefs are going to change. They're showing glass breaking and like moving above something. And I feel like this is where a lot of paradigms or limitations with paradigms, it doesn't have to be political, obviously, spiritual as well, even just about yourself and what's possible. A lot of the stuckness is coming from kind of bouncing up against the ceiling limitation of whatever your belief is. And that's where it's 1 foot in the 3D, 1 foot out. Like if you're here, you're interested in these conversations, but are you actually pushing the things that you believe? Are you actually like doing it that way? Like, are you actually manifesting it, or are you still doing it the hard way? And that's where there are incongruent beliefs that are creating a ceiling. It's like, yeah, I believe the universe is abundant, but I'm going to trade time for dollars and try to make money a very 3D way. That's your ceiling, and that's where you bounce. And there is a mindset shift that happens when you release the tension internally and you allow and you curate those inputs. It's just about cutting a lot out, and so you can actually hear what wants to come in. Potency, that I'm like just seeing somebody, light turns on, glass ceiling breaks, and it's like, whoa, I just broke out of the matrix. And so I would be available for that paradigm shift May 16th, 17th through the 20th, 21st. Anything else you want me to say here? It's about trusting yourself, learning to trust yourself. Okay, I'm going to do these messages for May. Learning to hear your own heart. Like very specific things that create clutter. Growth. Seek out a mentor or a guide. Take baby steps as you grow. Be willing to learn from others. That is very much the, I don't need to spend 5 hours a day learning random things on TikTok. What if I cut out all of those inputs and I cleaned it up and I curated what's the one course I want to learn and the one thing I really want to study, so you can actually move forward with it. Intuition. Listen to the whispers of your heart. Use divination tools to help you decide. Trust your intuition no matter what. What I said about trusting yourself, clearing out those inputs so you can actually hear, and what if you actually did things the intuitive way instead of knowing what your intuition says but then doing it the other way. Rebirth. Reinvent yourself, give life to your dreams, and create a new reality. That's what happens when we break past that glass ceiling, and we see things in a different way, but we actually integrate it, because there's a lot of stuff that we know or we've heard, but it hasn't fully clicked in our system. Like, that's the key code. I just got this new deck because I used it at a friend's house and I was obsessed with it. So it's actually the first time I'm using it. Big, bold vision. What is already with you? Relax the hold of darkness and be at cause. Breaking the addictions. This is very powerful. This is like, this deck like gives me chills. Again, the big bold vision, it's like, okay, by the end of the month, that big insight, that sudden, like, this whole time it's been right in front of me, what's already with me. But I had so much clutter, I wasn't seeing it. I had so many extra thoughts, I wasn't really aware of what was mine, right? Relax the hold of darkness and be at cause. It's like, wow, I finally find my power because I break those addictions and I break all those extra inputs. Like that is the addiction, and I'm seeing it clearly, and it's been right in front of me the whole time. Sometimes really good advice is adding in more of what we love, and sometimes the best advice is cleaning everything up and seeing what's left and simplifying. Right now is simplifying. And then I am just going to pull some tarot to close us out. What's our storyline for May? Not what I already said. The Magician, Knight of Swords, 5 of Wands, 10 of Cups, the Sun, and the 7 of Pentacles. Okay, I love this. What is our storyline? This is about manifesting. This is about, I have everything I need right in front of me. I just haven't been using all of my tools. I keep thinking I need more. I don't need more. I need to cut it out and look at what's right in front of me and actually use it and actually apply it, right? Knight of Swords. Something is coming in fast. Things are happening fast. Things are moving fast. Things are coming to you quickly when you start to actually manifest. That 5 of Wands is very much about noticing all of that clutter in your environment, in your head, like in your social circle, and actually dropping what's not serving you anymore and simplifying. Right? We have emotional fulfillment. We have joy and abundance. We have inner child is happy. We have family. We have love. We have financial abundance. We have looking at all of the positive things we already have. And I think there's something really important to taking time to reflect. And this is a prompt I often use with clients. I'm like, I want you to think about the things in your life that have worked, like the things in your life that have felt really good and have worked. It could be synchronistically meeting somebody who changed your life, or something in your career that worked out really well, or anything that fell into your lap, or the time when you felt most alive or most happy, anything that felt good and that worked. And I want you to really think about what your energy was like and how that came to you, how that came about. Like, what are the things that you can find in common about that? And there's that huge shift. It goes back to the very basic idea of gratitude and looking at what we already have right in front of us and looking at everything we have built. And I think one of those important mindset shifts is sometimes people can be so future focused and focused on where you're not at yet. And instead, what if you looked at, what about all the things I have done? Like, what about everything I have learned, every person I have met? Like, what are all the things that actually have unfolded for me? Maybe the things that unfolded aren't the things that my ego wanted to unfold immediately, but they were other things that my soul delivered to me and provided for me to learn more, to grow more, to understand myself better, to have all of the tools that I needed right now to actually move things forward. And so it reminds me of, like, they're showing me this image of like somebody inside this room door is locked and playing with their potions. Like they have everything. Everyone leave me alone. I've got to make my magical potion because here it is. And that's very much the energy of this month. It's like where the action happens. It's where the exciting stuff happens. And where we end here is so powerful. It's love and it's abundance and it's recognition and it's seeing like everything that I need and everything that I want is actually within me. You know, feelings are a choice. Like feeling joy and seeing the world from a place of joy is a choice. You can choose the frequency that you want to see the world through. You can choose how you respond to things. And you can also look at what is available for you and say, am I actually squeezing all the juice out of this lemon? Or am I just trying to get more and more lemons and figure out which one's the best one before I do anything? So when you have that shift, things are going to move really, really fast and we're going to end up in a really good place. And what I want to tell you is that I think it's really important to honor ourselves in the collective and in the oneness, and also our experience of individuality. And the idea of the collective is different for different people, right? Like when I'm tapping in, I'm not tapping into a lot of people. I'm tapping into the collective of people that's in this community, that's here, that's watching this. And if I was tapping into a very different group, I would have a very different read. And why I think this is important is because people can get really locked into, well, this is what's happening in the collective, so I'm also in that vibrational wave. And the more you allow that everybody else could have a very different reality than you, everybody else could say everything's falling apart and it's so difficult to XYZ right now, and blah, blah, blah. And you can be like, well, that's not my reality. Like my reality is that things are still easeful and money is coming to me and people are coming to me, even if everybody else around you is saying, oh, you know, XYZ, the market's so tough, blah, blah, blah. This came up in conversation a lot in the last week where people were making comments like, well, you know, people just aren't buying XYZ anymore. And it's like the second you say that, you've decided you are in the reality with everybody else and that you are a victim to that. You're not actually in the energy of highest alignment with love and source and all of the things that you have available to you. Where's my magician at? Like the second you say that, you're out of alignment with truth. Because that could be true for everybody else, but that's a limiting belief. So do you want to hold on to the limiting belief of the collective, or do you want to say, well, that's not my reality. It's going to work because this is how I'm being divinely guided to move forward. And I'm not going to be divinely guided to move forward in this way for no reason. Like that's the thing about trust. And that's what happens is things will come into our reality, is that lovingly test our trust with ourselves, and that gives us an opportunity to fortify our confidence and to fortify our relationship with ourselves. And so pay attention to those moments and recognize them, because those are moments where you really, really come into deeper harmony and love with yourself. And those are moments when all of the noise, the second you say, you know, right here, I see this test and I'm choosing to trust my own knowing with this, that's the moment when all of these extra plugs and noise just unplugs and your intuition gets stronger and louder. So let me know how this all lands for you. I'm excited and curious about how this month is going to unfold. Speaking of using your tools, I think this is a great month to use the 30-day manifestation challenge inside of Next Level You and the CTC app. You know, we have people who have such amazing results, and it's really just a matter of, are you using the tool? So if you show up to it as often as you can, every day if possible, 5 days a week, 3 days a week, consistently, and you're present and you allow, you will see results. And so the 30-day manifestation challenge, I think it's a great program to run through to like reset your kind of whole field into that frequency of receptivity. Outside of that, I would really recommend the Clearing Distortions energy work, source reconnection, and amplify your magnetism in light of my read for this month. So if you want to try those out, you can just check out the link in the description below for a 7-day free trial. That will complete our May 2026 energy update. I'm wishing you lots of love and excitement and joy and abundance this month, and I will see you again next time.